Exodus 21. Ve'ela hamishpatim asher tasim lifneihem. Pasuk Aleph. And these are the rules that you shall set before them. The chapter, and Parsha of Mishpatim, begins with the word and. Why does the chapter begin with and? Rashi offers two explanations. That the and is meant to link the Ten Commandments and this portion to explain that these were also given on Har Sinai. His second answer links these civil laws with the preceding laws about the altar at the end of the last chapter to explain that in the future the Sanhedrin court should be placed next to the temple complex. Ramban explains that this section is linked to the portion in the previous chapter, starting in verse 20, about idolatry. Those verses and these verses are linked to the Ten Commandments, which also begins with spiritual laws and ends in civil laws. The idea is that these verses expand the Ten Commandments with a mixture of both civil and spiritual. Sforno gets a little bit more specific. He links the commandments against coveting your neighbor's property in the Ten Commandments and this section at the beginning of Ve'ela Mishpatim. The commandment was only about one's thoughts in the Ten Commandments, without any action. This chapter discusses actual physical interactions with other people's property. Chizkuni has a similar idea. The Ten Commandments provided civil laws without consequences. Here, the civil laws are connected to specific consequences. The answer may also be a combination of a few of these. But first, we can look at the different commentators and figure out what their philosophy is of these different rules. According to Rashi, holiness and revelation are part of the law's foundation. The Ramban, covenant integrity, law as part of the divine relationship between the two. Sforno, we're talking about coveting property and thoughts versus action, is about ethical integrity, law as moral education. Chizkuni is more practical and practical justice. The law is a system of consequences. The Ten Commandments versus these laws with specific rules. Perhaps also the linkage has to do with the open-ended question in the last chapter. It was unclear how to break up the Ten Commandments. What were the 10? Chief among the questions was whether Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotziתי echem me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am Hashem your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. Was it the first commandment or an introductory sentence? If it is described as an introductory sentence, then it links nicely with the start of this chapter, and maybe could be read as follows. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotziticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim, ve'ela hamishpatim asher tasim lifneihem. I am ki tikneh eved ivri shesh shanim yavod ve'shvi'it yetzei lechavshi b'chinam. Meaning, I am Hashem your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to the house of bondage, and these are the rules that you shall set before them. When you acquire a Hebrew slave, the person shall serve 6 years and shall go free in the 7th year without payment. This links the two up thematically. Hashem took the people out of Egypt, and that provides the authority to set a new set of rules. Chief among those rules that Hashem sets out is about slavery. Hashem took you out of Egypt in order that you shall not be slaves again. The rules of slavery are very strict and delineated. Slavery was an important facet of life in the ancient world, and unfortunately still is today in certain cultures. Hashem does not eliminate the practice, but using the gravitas of the Exodus, Hashem changes the narrative on slavery. That is why this chapter is linked to the Ten Commandments. If Hashem is setting out to rewrite the rule book that was clear at those days, Hashem had to show his power through the Exodus and over the removal of Bnei Israel from slavery themselves.